Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Township of Scugog's virtual open house for the 2021 draft capital budget and the 2022 to 2025 forecasted capital budget. My name is Terry Barton, and I am the Acting Director of Finance and Treasurer here at Scugog. Tonight, I will give a short presentation on the draft 2021 capital budget, and then we'll follow up with a couple of question and answers. We have already received some questions through the budget survey and emails, and that we have prepared some answers for. We will welcome any new questions you may have after the presentation, so please email in to budget@scugog.ca, and we'll try to answer them tonight, or we'll get back to you by email. Along with myself, we have the following people available to answer some questions. Carol Coleman, Director of Community Services, Kevin Heritage, Director of Development Services, JP Newman, Director of Corporate Services, Mark Burney, Fire Chief, Amy Coughlin, CEO of the Library, Ken Nix, Chief Administration Officer, Lori Bowers, Manager of Communications and Strategic Initiatives, Rob Frasca, Manager of Public Works, Shauna Cornage, Manager of Culture and Recreation, Adam Dubecki, Manager of Information Technology, and Kevin Arsenault, Capital Project Technologist. I want to thank you for listening in, and here comes up the presentation. Hi, and welcome to today's Draft 2021 Capital Budget presentation. The budget process starts early in the year, so staff have enough time to review and make good decisions regarding both the capital and operating budgets. When preparing the capital budget, staff take into consideration many studies, reports, plans, cash flows, surveys, current grants, and potential grants. They use all of these to help build a budget that will maintain our infrastructure and ensure that they remain safe and usable for our residents. They also need to take into consideration the long-term view and focus on keeping the township sustainable for the future. Staff have put together a capital budget containing the projects that they feel necessary to be completed in 2021, and also have forecasted the projects that best addresses the needs of the township to safeguard our assets and keep the community safe. Inflationary pressures have affected the cost of these projects, so amounts listed last year have had to be adjusted for this capital budget. Some of our projects for the roads this year are big ones. We plan the rehabilitation of Devitts Road, McLaughlin Road, and Coriel Street. We plan to start the design for the replacement of Bridge number 12 at Job Road. We are looking to purchase a new sidewalk plow as well as a new 1-ton pickup. We are also needing to replace a motor grader and 2 other pickup trucks. We are starting to replace the playground at Palmer Park. This is just phase 1, with phase 2 planned in the next couple of years. The outdoor pickleball court will be completed if a grant is received. The picnic shelter at Joe Fowler Park needs to be replaced, as well as the flooring at the Scugog Community Recreation Center Hall. The projects listed on this slide are in need of grants or contribution from others for them to move forward. The ones marked with stars will also need the projected development charges to be collected before we can move forward with these. If they are not collected, the projects will have to be pushed out to future years. In order to undertake these projects, we need to be able to pay for them. Staff are always looking at opportunities to bring in revenue and take advantage of any grant application that may come up. There is a limited amount of grant funds that are available and many municipalities that are vying for these funds. Budget allocations are needed for roads, buildings and facilities, and vehicles and equipment, and they are required due to significant deficits in each of these asset categories. The State of the Infrastructure Report from 2019 states that our roads reserves would not be able to sustain the projects that were needed to be done to fix our roads, so they recommended that a special levy be incrementally increased by 3% each year to help reduce the deficit. The Asset Management Plan also recommended additional funding be directed to vehicles and equipment reserve so the replacement of vehicles and equipment can happen before large repair expenses are needed and to keep them in safe and working condition. Over the last couple of years, Council has recognized the importance of investment in our infrastructure and have taken the steps to address future financial challenges by introducing special levies. These are the estimated special levy amounts that would be transferred from the operating budget to the reserves for capital projects if the special levy percentages are approved. As you can see, with the gravel transfer, we would be able to invest over $2 million in our roads for 2021. With a cumulative 3% levy, we would be able to invest almost $6.8 million into our roads over the next 5 years. Staff have forecasted the projects deemed necessary to continue to keep our roads safe and usable. If Council decides to reduce the recommended target, these projects will deplete our reserves, or they will have to be pushed into future years. With a 5% levy, or 0.5% levy, we would be able to add $1.1 million to our vehicle and equipment reserve. Our vehicles and equipment play an essential role in the maintenance of our roads. A regular replacement schedule helps to keep down excessive maintenance costs and reduce the risk of failure by not allocating funds towards our vehicles and equipment. The reserve will not be able to fund the forecasted assets. With a 0.5% levy, we would be able to add $1.1 million to our buildings and facilities reserve. Township has some larger buildings and facilities that are in need of more critical work that currently does not fit into this forecast because the funding is not available. Extra funding is needed in this reserve, so investment can be made into these assets so that they remain safe and accessible for the community. As you can see in this slide, the 2021 capital budget is less than a 2020 capital budget. We are spending less in roads, vehicles and equipment, and buildings and facility this year to save for some bigger projects in 2022 and 23. Our parks number has increased this amount, but this amount includes a grant portion. The same can be said for the parking lots, piers, and stormwater maintenance. Here is a comparison of the funding. In 2020, we had more federal and provincial grants available than in 2021, as well as more contributions from others. This is a summary comparison of the projects in 2020 versus 2021 in each of our reserves. Staff has prioritized the projects with the amount of funding that is available. This is a continuity schedule showing the next 3 years of funding and projects if the budget allocation and projects are approved. The 2022 and 2025 capital forecast. The projects identified here are only to be approved in principle only and are funded based on current revenue assumptions. Considerations for future capital projects will be based on priority, available funding, and grant opportunities. We must keep in mind that long-term planning is recommended to plan for the sustainable and successful future of the township. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Okay, thanks for taking the time out and listening to that presentation. I'm now going to turn it over to Lori, our communications manager, and she's going to facilitate some of the questions that we have received already. I'll turn it over to you, Lori.
Thank you, Terry. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone for participating virtually. I know this is kind of a new way of doing things. We received wonderful questions through our email at budget@scugog.ca. Still time to send in a few questions. We are monitoring. And thanks for those participating on my.scugog.ca. And here we go with question number 1. This is directed to the Public Works, Recreation, Community Services area. The question is, what happens if the Pickleball Association does not get the grant?
Good evening, Lori. Thank you for your question. Unfortunately, many projects are dependent on grant funding within the township. If the North Durham Pickleball Club does not receive the grant, then the project would be postponed. The township will keep our allocation portion of $50,000 for the construction of outdoor pickleball courts to be used in the future. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Shauna. And, just for those folks who are listening, we are going to be jumping between a few folks. It's best to have our mics off if we're not speaking. So give me a second if you don't hear me jumping back on. It's because I'm trying to unmute my mic. Question number 2, again, this has to do with the Blackstock Recreation Complex. So back over to Carol Coleman's department. So Blackstock Recreation Complex Phase 1 construction. What can we, the citizens of Scugog, do to increase our chances of receiving a grant? Could the new design also include a dedicated fitness center instead of a traditional gym filled with exercise equipment that can be expensive? A facility such as this, more of a central approach to fitness, might be far less expensive to outfit. Could you consider this as part of the design? And more to the point, what can we do as citizens to help increase our chances of receiving a grant for the rec complex?
Thank you, Laurie. These are all good questions. Unfortunately, these grant opportunities, that when we get them, they are very competitive. There's a lot of municipalities out there with older recreational infrastructure and looking for funding to replace them. So the demand usually and the number of applications usually far exceeds the amount of money that's available. So that doesn't mean that we won't keep trying for these, and we're doing our best to make very high quality applications to do this. For a citizen's perspective, really the best way that you could support it is to show your support for the project by contacting your local MP and MPP when these opportunities come out. In the end, it is the provincial and federal governments that decide on the success of our applications. And as for the suggestion of of more of a traditional gym, like without not having a gym with the fancy fitness equipment, that's not our plan. We weren't planning on buying all the expensive machines and equipment for a gym. We're looking at more of a gymnasium and a multi-purpose room that can be used for like a wide variety of sports. It could be basketball, it could be a yoga class. It's very multi-purpose, and it wouldn't require a lot of equipment. So yes, we are looking at that type of facility. And thank you for your suggestions. They're much appreciated.
Thank you, Carol. This next question has to do with COVID, the pandemic affecting our budget. So just heads up for finance here, I'll just read it. How is COVID going to affect the budget for 2021? Will the township be provided funds for those loss of services that they could not provide this year from the government? This can definitely impact when the township can and how they can offer services. Does the township know if they are being compensated for COVID? So I think it's a general question with regards to funding support.
Thanks, Lori. COVID has affected our budget and will be a factor as we plan our 2021 budget moving forward. We are looking at all of our service levels and programs regular to see where we can still provide going forward. And we will look at all the information before we decide how to proceed with the 2021 operating budget later this year. The township has made short-term solutions to mitigate COVID that in the long run are not sustainable. We will continue to evaluate in our needs in this time, and we did receive money from the government for the startup program. We received $528,900 to help with those operating costs and pressures that we have received in 2020, and we will evaluate at the end of the year how much of this we will use, and the rest we're going to put into reserve to help mitigate anything that happens in 2021.
Thank you, Terry. Just looking ahead here, I'm going to throw another finance question at you. In general, with regards to, the question is, what is the impact to my tax bill? So we're kind of jumping around, but I think the email is to do with the proposed budget and target that we would have heard earlier this afternoon. And what is the impact to my tax bill? How much will an increase cost me?
Thanks, Lori. After today's meeting this afternoon, we kind of set a tentative target of 6% for both capital and operating, and this translates into about $6.90 per month for the average taxpayer. Staff has also been charged with coming back with options and to reduce areas of the budget and what those impacts would be if we go below 6%. The resident property tax bill supports activities of the region, which is our upper tier, as well as the education, school boards, and the township. And the township share of the overall tax bill is only 30%. So our 6% increase effect on the 30% portion of the overall tax bill is about approximately 2.9 to the 2.9% increase on the average tax bill.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Sorry, I'm jumping for that mute button and not doing that well. Terry, I'm just going to be reading these questions, but can you just have a quick look while I'm doing that to the email just to make sure we're getting those questions in as well as I move along?
Certainly.
Okay, this next one is coming from Waterfront, for Waterfront, so Kevin Heritage's area, Development Services area. In the proposed budget, is the revamping of the waterfront and the facilities along the waterfront, are they included?
Thanks, Lori, for that question. Yes, there are a number of items that are included in the budget that will deal with the revamping of the waterfront. As many people know, the township has prepared 3 land use concepts for the waterfront. And as part of those 3 concepts, there were a number of elements that comprised those concepts. That material was sent out in a survey over the summer months, and we've received a substantial amount of feedback on it. At this point in time, staff is reviewing all that feedback and is in the process of preparing a preferred concept plan. Now, that preferred concept plan is going to be presented in a public forum on November 24th. And they're going to be 3, it's a virtual workshop, and there'll be 3 sessions that will be held virtually. One at 1 till 2:30 in the afternoon, the other one at 3:30 to 5 o'clock, and the last and third session will be held in the evening at 6:30 till 8 o'clock. Now, each session is open to 40 people in order to hear comments from those participating. And to register for the workshop, please visit the project page, and that's at my.scugog.ca/waterfront. In addition to that, some of the items that we have included in the budget deal with the playground equipment at Palmer Park. We're also dealing with the picnic shelter replacement at Fowler Park and dealing with the boat launch dock extension. We're also including a washroom facility as well, but that will be predicated on the location of that washroom facility will be predicated on the outcome of the waterfront action plan. Now, in addition to that, you may know that the region of Durham is undertaking environmental assessment for the pumping station. The pumping station is currently located on Water Street, just north of the old mill. And the region is looking at expanding the pumping station. As part of the EA, they've looked at 5 different locations for the new pumping station. One of those locations is its existing location, and the preferred site that the region has selected is just in Birdseye Park, just to the west of the pool facility in Birdseye Park. So the region held a consultation on that preliminary preferred site in Birdseye Park. The deadline for comments was Friday, August 21st, 2020, and the region is currently reviewing all the comments received and we'll be coming forward with a recommended location in the future. So that's it. Thank you, Lori, for that.
Thank you, Kevin. Moving along to a question for Public Works, calling on another Kevin Arsenault, I believe, for the Public Works. He's our capital technologist. I'll read this off. The roads and sidewalks, other than the downtown core, a shambles, the special levy has no effect from my observation on sidewalks elsewhere. What sidewalks have been rehabilitated in the last year, and how many are you planning for?
Thank you, Lori. I'll just start with the sidewalks. So each year we plan for and budget for approximately $100,000 worth of sidewalk repairs. Now, we choose those sidewalk repairs based on a few things, but the main one that drives it is the yearly inspection we do on the whole sidewalk system. So we actually have our student walk 62 kilometers of sidewalk, and from those inspections, we determine which sidewalks require replacement or whether there is improvements we can make otherwise, and if budget allows, whether there's new sections we can implement. I do believe, or it was on our current project list on our website, we did have the maps up there for sidewalks, but they may have been taken down. So if anyone does wish to know all those locations, I am happy to show you the maps of all of those locations. But just to name off a couple, this year we concentrated on school zones throughout the summer. Actually, we started it early because of COVID. School was out. So we hit all the areas kind of around Cornish, Prince Albert, Cocker, etc. And in previous years, you'll have seen the new sidewalks that were put in on the west side of Simcoe Street from Beach to Reach, as well as the new multi-use path that was included on the east side and along the south side of Reach Street. But each year that list does change, and each year we post it on our website to look at. Now, as for roads, 2020, and I'll just make this easier. I'll just list off, I guess, the total kilometers of work that we did for each road type over the last 3 years, just to give an indication of what this levy is actually doing for us and how much work we can get done. So in 2018, our rural rehab program allowed us to do 2.2 meters. From then on, we started to increase the levy. In 2019, we did 5.5 kilometers of road, so we over doubled it. In 2020, this year, we did 8.3 kilometers of rural roads. Moving over to our gravel program for our gravel roads, in 2018, we did 17 kilometers. In 2019, we did 20 kilometers. In 2020, we did 24.5 kilometers. So you can see the increase each year on both of those. And I know there was some discussion about roads in the downtown core. We do have some projects coming up in the downtown core, but in those last 3 years, we've actually only done 0.17 kilometers of in-town work. We are looking to begin our rehab programs in Port Perry itself. I believe that may answer the question. If anyone needs additional information, I'm happy to talk on the phone or via email.
Thank you, Kevin. Answer the question, and for sure, and then some actually. And just on a communications note, as I'm listening to you, I will be connecting with you tomorrow, because I think it's really important for us to try and illustrate and share some of that information that you just shared with us. And we'll connect this week and see how we can help to push that out in some digestible ways for the community, maybe on social.
Sounds good.
Let's see here. Okay, this one is for community services. Again, kind of public works area. Carol, yourself or someone from your team perhaps. So climate change, and this just came in this evening on my.scugog. So hopefully you can give us just like a bit of information. Perhaps you might need to circle back with this individual by email, but climate change and the environment is very important to me. What is the township doing to safeguard our environment?
Thank you, Laurie. I can say that climate change and the environment are also very important to the staff and the council of the Township of Scugog. Our strategic plan identifies it as one of the main strategic directions for staff and for the township to follow through this term of council. We have been busy this year with many initiatives, and we have several more coming up in 2021. We were the only, I believe we were the only northern municipality to host a compost giveaway event this fall with the region of Durham. And we had 175 cars attend that. And at this event, we also gave out 150 tree seedlings and 75 seed packets. Actually, that was led by our the Scugog Environmental Advisory Committee. And that committee is also working on a survey to see the people's opinion on a private tree bylaw, which would set criteria for protecting trees on private property. Our 2021 capital budget includes, or the draft budget includes $10,000 for Phragmites invasive species mitigation. And again, that is being led by our Environmental Advisory Committee. Staff are working very hard with Kawartha Conservation and the Scugog Lake Stewards to move forward on the Lake Scugog Enhancer project. And we hope to be able to move forward in 2021 with the construction, and that will have significant environmental benefits for the lake and areas around the lake. We also introduced in 2020 the LEAF program, which is a subsidized program that helps people select and properly plant and maintain trees for their backyards. We originally budgeted for 8 trees, but we have approved 18 to date, and we're looking at possibly approving some more and carrying the project forward to 2021. Also in 2020, in June, we passed an anti-idling bylaw. So residents are no longer able to idle over certain time limits. Idling lets off a lot more pollutants than driving your car, so we want to clamp down on that. And we've also applied for 2 electrical vehicle charging stations, one for the municipal building downtown and one for the Scugog Community Recreation Center. And we are hoping to hear the results of those grant applications at the end of November. So we are always looking forward to opportunities for improve the environment and address climate change. And these are the main initiatives we're undertaking now, but we're looking for more in the future.
Thank you so much, Carol. Gosh, that's there's so much that's been going on, and it's just amazing to hear it listed out like that. Just looking at my my friend's social distance here, Terry, I think we have one more question that came in on email, but you've had a quick scan of the email this evening. I can share with folks listening in that we had some specific capital project questions. You know, when is my insert name of road going to be fixed? And so I'm going to share those with Public Works just to provide those individuals more of an individual answer by email instead of doing it here in the public forum. And I will jump to what looks to be for now our last question this evening. And it is going to Kevin Heritage, Development Services.
Lori.
The question is,
Lori.
What are development charges? Is that money that the township gets paid by developers? How much are we getting and what is it used for?
Thanks, Lori. I just had a couple of comments to add to Carol's comments in the previous question about climate change and the environment. Can you hear me, Lori?
Yes, Kevin.
Oh, okay, thank you. When the township evaluates development applications, we certainly look for low impact development features. They're known as LIDs. We promote permeable pavers so that water can percolate through these pavers into the groundwater. We also look at preserving as many trees as possible to retain and build on our tree canopy within the municipality. We also look for building water gardens to contain stormwater in the area as well, so you don't have stormwater running off from a development immediately into a nearby creek or river. So those are some additional features that we look for in terms of evaluating development future development applications in the township. So getting to question number 8, in terms of development charges. Development charges are collected by the municipality as well as the region and the boards of education to pay for hard and soft services. They're put towards growth-related projects. Growth-related project examples could include future studies, could include new equipment and new infrastructure that's required to maintain those future developments. So far I guess in 2019, the township collected about $740,000 in development charges. That's the township's component. In addition to that, as I indicated, the region also collects development charges as well as the boards of education. In 2020, up until the end of October, the township has collected $1.9 million. And our forecast for the end of 2020, we're looking at $2.4 million. So there's been a substantial increase in development that we have seen in 2020 over 2019. It's been a number of municipalities, in talking with other municipalities, they've seen the same thing. And it's been a real surprise to everybody that we're seeing all this development during a year of COVID. I guess a couple of explanations is that one, the interest rates are extremely low. We're not dealing with interest rates that were in place back in 2019 and 2018. People have the time now to, and rather than take trips abroad and whatever, they have to stay local. So they're putting that money into their houses. So we're seeing additions to houses, we're seeing new houses, we're seeing people move up from a smaller house to a larger house. So that's all contributing to the increase in development charges that we're seeing. Thanks, Lori.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for jumping in on the environmental piece. Of course, that is such an important starting with policy and before we even see developers coming in and making some of those policy requirements. I appreciate you adding that bit of detail, and I'm just going to throw it over to Terry because we did get a question in on email. Terry?
Yes, thanks, Lori. There's one that just came in and it has to do with the second access for the island. So they're asking what the status of the second access of the island. I know it's been a priority and it has been slowly dropped further and further down the line as priorities have shadowed it. I'm just wondering what the status is and if I believe Carol might be able to provide an answer to this.
Yes, I can, Terry. Thank you. I'd just like to emphasize that the second access is definitely still a priority for the township, for both staff and council. It is in the draft capital budget going forward. Right now, in the 2019 budget, we started working on the update to the environmental assessment and preparing the detailed design. And we have been working on it diligently since that time. We had hoped that we'd be able to start construction next year, but things are moving a little more slowly than we would have hoped. It's a very complex job. There's steep grades to consider. There's a lot of approvals needed from various ministries. And we also need to purchase some property to construct the project. So these things all take some time, but we are going to continue through 2021, and we hope to start construction in 2022 for the southern leg, which is from Highway 7A up to Head Road. And then right now we're planning to build the northern section from Ma Brown's Road to Pine Point Road in 2023. We know that when accidents occur and people are stranded and can't get to or from their homes, it is very inconvenient for people, and it can be a safety concern as well. So it is definitely a priority for us, and we're moving as fast as we can, not as fast as we would like, but we are getting this job done.
Thank you so much, Carol. lived on the island for 13 years. I can totally feel that question. I appreciate that answer. Folks, I think that I'm just looking at my counterpart here. That concludes the question and answer portion. And I do want to just express my gratitude and thanks for the staff participating this evening. And I believe there's a few members of council that are listening in as well. And to all those who sent their questions. And the questions can still be sent. So please feel free to email budget@scugog.ca. Please visit my.scugog/budget to view all of the budget related information, including budget planning information, how-tos, and some FAQs, and the draft capital is there as well in detail for you to review. So I do thank you all this evening for your participation, and we will be signing off from the Township of Scugog. Have a good evening.